at you the opposite of live. Pre-recorded, edited, captioned, posted. I'm trying to do a little cool 2 in 1. When two become one. When two become one. I need some love. Nope. Okay. I'm gonna make my very best chocolate chip cookies down here in this region, which the lovely folks over on Patreon will see. And I'm gonna talk to you up here on YouTube. And hopefully I am coordinated enough to accomplish those things simultaneously. I've got coffee. I wore my very best Trying Too Hard lipstick because today I want to talk about being too cool for stuff. I just want to do a little love letter to weirdos. And I think beyond just weirdos, a little love letter to being too cool to do something, not being too cool to be friends with someone, not being too cool to try. I just love and have so much appreciation for people who are unapologetically themselves. And I see that as such an act of bravery. You know, that's what it is. It's an act of bravery. People are willing to just fully and completely put themselves out there. I love nerds, and I love the bravery of that, and I'm so exhausted by being too cool for stuff. Isn't that boring? Aren't you bored of being too cool? It must be so limiting. And exhausting to constantly be sort of measuring up, you know, is this thing I'm doing cool? I think about how many people I would have missed out on had I been too cool for them. I mean, I'm sure that I still did. I guess it's possible that there's like a benign version of too cool where it has nothing to do with other people. It's not about belittling or judging people. It's more just about, you know, that person's own sort of figuring out who they are and what's important to them and trying to navigate that in and amongst like what's expected and what's celebrated. When I think about too cool, I think about I don't know, maybe I'm kidding myself, but people who are hate watching this right now and being like, wow, Arissa's a loser. How are you enjoying my content? Do you like it? Still here, I guess. It's so brave to try new things that you're probably gonna fail at. It's really brave to be weird. And not in a calculated, like, lol 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 quirky way. That was a gross sound. Have you heard about my Patreon? I think it's cool. I'm really excited about it. I've posted a grocery store hacks list of sort of all my go-to dairy-free, egg-free things. I've posted about soup and about how to make perfect soup stock and some of my favorite recipes. Posted about cookies and some of my favorite recipes. I'm going to be posting this cookie tutorial over on YouTube with my favorite dark chocolate sea salt cookies. I have posted a little sweet love poem for you. Lots of things. I'm really excited about it. Oh, and I did sort of like a beauty skincare hack. That's all in like the last 2 weeks because I just really like it there. It'd be really cool if you came and joined and support me because that really means a lot. Thank you. One of the things that you're supposed to be too cool for as an adult is talking about how to be an adult and like figuring out how to be the kind of person that you like. Why don't we talk about this more? I've often felt like a lot of the content on YouTube feels geared towards younger folks. And that's cool, and those folks are welcome here, and like, thank you, cool. It's awesome if this is meaningful for you, but I'm 30 years old, and I don't know how to be an adult, and I don't want to be too cool to talk about that. I don't want to be too cool to acknowledge that there's lots of things that I don't know, and acknowledge that I didn't start this YouTube channel a year ago because I was too cool for YouTube, which sucks because I was an avid consumer of it. Like, I love watching YouTube videos. I love the sort of community that YouTube can provide, but mostly I just love people being excited talking about the things that they love. It doesn't really matter what it is. My YouTube sort of like watch history is bizarre. For the last couple days, all I've been watching is like lizard videos because I just love that people care so much about lizards and like building their homes. I basically love any kind of content that is someone relentlessly loving and being passionate about something. And when I think about the kind of content that I want to create, when I think about how I want to be on YouTube, it's I want to be honest. I want to not be too cool for stuff. I want to be willing to fail publicly and not be good at things, because I think that's really helpful. I think it's really great to be reminded that no one is good at everything immediately, and we just do ourselves and each other a real disservice by pretending that I like organically stumbled upon editing. The first video that I posted to YouTube, I am not exaggerating, I spent more than 40 hours editing it. Mostly because I had no idea what I was doing and everything took 4 times as long, but also because I was so meticulous. Because it was important to me that I put forward something that was perfect. And I'm sure if I go back and watch it now, I'm gonna just cringe forever. And it certainly isn't perfect because there's so many things that I admire that I see other creators doing that like I just genuinely don't know how I would ever do that. Editing stuff. Some of the best and proudest moments of my life have been when I wasn't too cool for something. I feel like theater can give you a bit of permission, but it often gives you permission to be a dork or uncool as another character. Like, you're not being uncool as yourself. You're being a professional acting uncool. And that's kind of what I never really connected to with theater, was that I didn't want to be too cool for anything. I just wasn't cool. And I wanted to make weird theater. I wanted to make theater that was about the experience of the actors and the director as well as the audience, and it wasn't always well received. I don't want to miss out on people or on experiences because I'm too cool. And I don't know, maybe I have some sort of like stunted emotional maturity. And so much lipstick on this cup. But I feel like I don't ever hear folks my age talk about these sorts of things, and maybe it's me, but I don't think it goes away. I don't think that you turn 25 or turn 30 and turn 40 and suddenly you stop thinking about what's cool. I know lots of people my age and older who are deeply invested in looking cool and being cool. And I think maybe, hopefully, as an older person, there's more space for like you getting to define what you think is cool. I think about sort of some of the greater losses of my life, one of them being that I've always wanted to take ballet my whole life, but I wasn't thin, and I have always been quite clumsy. I'm not super coordinated, and so I never did it because, I mean, first of all, because I think I would be so self-conscious that it wouldn't be fun. But I'm missing out on like the beauty of that movement and how much I long to do it because I'm so afraid of not being good at it and being not cool enough for it. And I think that this concept of being too cool really expands into everything. You know, it expands, I guess I'm gonna tie everything together here. It talked about theater, but it also expands into gender in a really important way, and I think in a somewhat violent way that we often do, cookies, to trans folks, where, I mean, one of many violent things that we do to trans folks. Even as a person who identifies as genderqueer, there's almost like a level of expectation that you're presenting gender in a way that's finite. So you're coming in and it's like, I'm gonna be my gender and it's gonna look like this and it's gonna be polished and I'm gonna know what it means and I'm gonna know, you know, the boundaries of it. And that is fundamentally not my experience, both as a genderqueer person and also as a bisexual person. It changes every fucking day. It changes every day. Then maybe you identify as non-binary. Well, we've decided what that looks like, and we've decided that it's white and thin and androgynous, and we don't celebrate people. Cookies. I don't think that we're good enough at celebrating people in the messy in-between times. And I say this as someone who is very much in a messy in-between time. I want you to see that I don't know what I'm doing and that I'm kind of just trying to figure out what you might like, but also what feels true to me. And I don't want to feel like I don't get to do that because I'm a certain age. Is there like a too coolness of being a certain age? Like at some point you just age out of being able to be a work in progress? I mean, my gender and my sexuality are a perpetual work in progress and I feel different about it every day. And I remember feeling like, you know, if I was gonna be more feminine presented, or I was gonna wear any makeup, then I needed to do it all perfectly. And I needed to have flawless skin in order to wear lipstick, and I needed to have shaved legs in order to wear a dress. And if I didn't, I wasn't quite getting it. I want to be uncool enough to make mistakes and maybe make a YouTube that some people think is embarrassing, and maybe put myself out there in a way that makes certain people roll their eyes. And the people that I most admire and the people that I most love and the friends that I treasure most dearly are people who do that. Folks in my life who've like taken on gigantic and overwhelming and scary and super brave career choices or life choices. You know, they've exited relationships that they felt like defined them, or jobs that they felt like defined them. And they've been willing to sort of be a work in progress, which is, I think, something society doesn't think is cool. I'm gonna do my best to try not to be too cool here. And I'm sure I'm gonna mess up, to take some steps back from what's cool and take some steps towards what, you know, what feels right and what feels most authentic. I don't want to be too cool to be a gender weirdo. And I don't want to be too cool to try something that I might fail, which is kind of what YouTube has been for me. I think sometimes we approach being too cool as if it's an absence of caring. Whereas, at least in my experience, the things that I was too cool for were often things that I felt the most judgment and the most fear about, that I cared about the most deeply. I'm so scared that I'll be laughed at. And so I love the karaoke singers, and I love the nerds on YouTube, and I love the bravery of that. And so hopefully this gets to be a space for more of that. And that's meaningful for you. If you are interested in the cookies, which I apparently underbaked and now had to throw back in the oven, which is really literally what I do every single time I make them, check out my Patreon. If you're looking for ways to support me, I often have people connect with me and say, thank you, this thing that you said, or this thing that you did, or this video that you made, I really enjoyed it, or it was helpful for me, or that was cool. It would mean a lot to me if you would like this video. Is it annoying that I'm saying that? Yes. Do I hate it? Yes. But in this space, that's how I can gain traction. And I care a lot. And when someone joins my Patreon, I get so excited. And when someone puts a comment, it makes me so happy. And I care so much. Oh. So please, let's be not too cool together. And hopefully these cookies are fully baked now. I'm also gonna say goodbye. Thank you for being here. Please, I'm gonna put a comment, hit subscribe, follow me on Instagram, join my Patreon. That's kind of yucky. Join my patron. This is what a patron would do, maybe. Let's all just be desperately uncool together.